All right, so Conor McGregor versus Max Holloway 2 is officially announced for International Fight Week, UFC 329. Let's just talk about this fight, give you my initial thoughts, initial reaction, and my initial prediction. And we're not going to go through the whole main card. I know the card is stacked. You got people like Benoit Saint Denis versus Paddy Pimblett. You even have like Sandhagen versus Mario Batista. You have Brandon Royval versus Leonard Kavanaugh. But I'll save that for another video. But for now, let's just talk about this fight. So, Conor McGregor is obviously coming off a 4-year layoff. His last fight was back in July 10th, 2021, where he obviously lost by TKO, breaking his leg against Dustin Poirier. And he was supposed to fight, obviously, Michael Chandler at UFC 303, which was in 2024, but then he ended up pulling out. And that's basically about it for McGregor when it comes to his recent activity. And as for Holloway, ever since McGregor fought Dustin Poirier, Holloway fought Yair Rodriguez, Volkanovski, Arnold Allen, Korean Zombie, Justin Gaethje, Ilia Topuria, Dustin Poirier himself, and Charles Oliveira. So, this fight's also going to be contested at welterweight, which obviously, if you know, McGregor obviously fought at welterweight before, most notably against Nate Diaz, while Holloway never fought at this weight class. And I'm here to let you know that I don't think the weight is going to be much of an issue for Holloway because my initial thoughts is that Holloway is going to destroy McGregor. That's what I think is going to happen. Like, you cannot count out the guy that's still at the top after all of these years, still actively fighting, getting some decent wins, elite wins, still looking sharper than ever. Maybe his chin is starting to deteriorate a little bit, right? He did get dropped by Dustin Poirier. He did get, momentarily wobbled in a way by the end of the 5th round by Charles Oliveira with that right hand. But I don't think it's going to matter as much with McGregor. You know what I mean? Because I feel as though when people predict this fight, they kind of acknowledge McGregor as his 2016 self. People talk about how he's going to clip him with the left hand down the pipe and he's going to be too accurate and too precise. And it's like, this is no longer the same McGregor that fought Aldo or even Eddie Alvarez. You know what I mean? This McGregor hasn't fought in 4 years. And that's what worries me about McGregor is that it's going to be too much mileage. He's going to be struggling in there. I don't care if it's at welterweight, which is a weight class that he has fought at before, as opposed to Max Holloway. He never even had a fight at 170, but you could even argue that Holloway is going to have even more power at this weight class because when he transitioned from 145 to 155, he packed more power. And overall, Holloway is just more active, better, has a better resume, has been putting on better performances, as opposed to, Conor McGregor, where if you look at his last 4 fights, 3 of them are losses, 1 of them is a win. And that win was against Donald Cerrone, which was also at welterweight. But the 3 losses came to Khabib and Dustin Poirier. But we're going to ignore the Khabib loss because obviously, this fight is nothing like the Khabib fight. Holloway is not a grappler or a wrestler. This is more of like the Dustin Poirier fight where it's a striker versus striker matchup. And people tend to also go with McGregor, which again, there's nothing wrong with leaning towards McGregor. You're entitled to just predicting whoever you want to predict is going to win this fight. But the fact that people are bringing up Holloway losing to Oliveira as if that's going to be the big tell. McGregor is going to win this fight because Oliveira beat Holloway. It's just stupid because Oliveira and McGregor are nothing alike. Oliveira is a heavy grappler, a heavy wrestler, one of the best submission artists in the game. McGregor is nothing like that. He's not going to sit here and just start taking down Holloway and just laying on top of him and, threaten submissions and stuff like that. He's going to keep it on the feet. He may try to mix it up the way he tried to mix it up with Dustin Poirier, but it's I don't think it's going to work out. I don't think McGregor is the type of guy that's going to start focusing heavily on the wrestling and the grappling, and then eventually, somehow, some way, he's going to find a submission. It's just not going to happen. This is going to be on the feet. And if we're talking strictly on the feet, you have to acknowledge that Holloway has the volume, the output, the power, the striking advantage, especially right now. Maybe if you talk prime for prime, maybe McGregor is better, but this is no longer prime McGregor. Holloway is closer to his prime than McGregor is closer to his prime right now. You know what I mean? And obviously, Holloway has the gas tank advantage. Even if it's at 170, I still think that Holloway is going to still be, he's still going to have the stamina, the endurance, the durability. Whereas with McGregor, it's like he gasses out quickly. Whether it's at welterweight, lightweight, he gasses out. And that's the thing. McGregor may have a good first round and maybe a good second round, but then if Holloway can actually get past those rounds, which again, I'm not saying that those rounds are going to guarantee go to McGregor's way, because Holloway could very well go out there and just stop him in the first or the second. But I'm saying that McGregor has the best chance, in my opinion, in the earlier rounds before he starts to gas out, right? And McGregor is just not the same fighter anymore, man. He's not the same fighter. He's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. There's a reason why he's been inactive for 4 years. His head is not in the game anymore. You know what I mean? You can't just come back 4 years later and expect to beat one of the best fighters in the world. It just doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Listen, it's the fight game. Anything could happen. Everything is unpredictable. But the safer option is to lean towards Holloway because of all the factors that I just listed. You know, if you're going to go with McGregor, that's fine. But I think you have to make a strong case as to why you're leaning towards McGregor because, again, you don't just stay out of the sport for 4+ years and then come back and expect to be one of the best fighters in the world. It's just, to me, it's nonsense, right? And people keep predicting this fight by acknowledging McGregor as his past self. Like, this is no longer the 2016, 2015 McGregor. This is a completely different version of McGregor. A guy that has been occupied with, personal issues, legal issues, stuff like that throughout these 4 years. Meanwhile, Holloway in those 4 years has been stacking up some really great wins. So you can't just come back after all these years and expect to just stop Holloway or knock him out or something like that. Which I think that might be the only chance that McGregor could win is by catching him early on. And Holloway has been getting hit as of recently. I understand that. He got clipped by Oliveira, Dustin Poirier, stuff like that. Obviously, he got knocked out by Topuria, but that's Topuria. So McGregor does have a chance in landing good shots against him, but I think Holloway's chin is still too durable for him to just get like one shot KO'd by McGregor. So that's what I personally think. I think that Holloway is going to overwhelm him. He's going to show him levels, and he's going to show him that you should have returned back to the UFC with an easier fight. Even if this is at 170, which obviously you would think that this favors McGregor because he has the experience at 170 as opposed to Holloway, I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference, right? Like, McGregor's fights at 170 were against, like, Cowboy Cerrone and Nate Diaz. He never, fought for the title at welterweight or anything like that. So I think Holloway is going to overwhelm him. I am predicting maybe an early TKO. I don't know if it's going to be, like, a first-round TKO or something like that, but I'm predicting, like, a second round, third, fourth round, maybe TKO, something like that, where I could just see, like, McGregor gassing out, Holloway capitalizing on that, overwhelming him with the pace, with the volume, with the output. And I think he's going to be maybe slightly even more powerful at 170. And I think McGregor is going to understand that, I should have returned back with an easier fight. Because to be honest with you, on paper, there are easier fights from McGregor. You could have done, him versus maybe, I don't even know, Colby Covington. Maybe him versus Masvidal. A more winnable fight, I would say. So, yeah. But they decided to go with Holloway. It could have been harder, of course. They could have given him, Ilia Topuria or something like that, or even Oliveira himself, the guy that beat Holloway. But, anything could happen in this fight. But I'm still leaning towards Max Holloway to win by finish. Let me know what you guys think. Those are my early predictions. It might change in the future, but I doubt that's going to happen. But let me know who you guys think is going to win this fight, and I'll see you later.